My name is Sarah, I'm 29 years old, and I never imagined I'd wake up nearly bald the day before my sister's wedding. My hands shook as they grazed my scalp, discovering patches where my long golden hair once flowed. Clumps of it were strewn across my bedroom floor like fallen leaves. In the doorway stood my mother, scissors in hand, a smug smile curling her lips. My sister Lisa's wedding was tomorrow, and my own family had betrayed me in the most unthinkable way. Before I dive into my story, let me know where you're watching from and consider subscribing to follow my journey from victim to victor in the face of unimaginable family betrayal. To understand why my parents would commit such a horrific act, you need to know our family's history. Growing up in suburban Chicago, I was always labeled the pretty one, while my sister Lisa was deemed the smart one. These weren't labels I chose. They were assigned by our parents from a young age. The truth is, I worked tirelessly in school, maintained a 4.0 GPA through college, and eventually landed a solid job in marketing. But in my parents' eyes, particularly my mother's, Lisa's achievements always eclipsed mine. From the outside, our home was picture perfect, a 4-bedroom colonial with a pristine lawn and a white picket fence. My father, James, was a financial advisor, and my mother, Karen, ran a thriving interior design business. We had family dinners every night and took annual vacations to Florida, a textbook American family. But behind closed doors, the dynamic was toxic. Lisa aced her science project again, my mother would announce at dinner, then turn to me with a critical gaze. Sarah, maybe you could ask your sister for help with your homework instead of fussing with your hair. I vividly recall winning a poetry contest in high school. When I rushed home, clutching my certificate, my father barely glanced up from his newspaper. That's nice, honey. Did you hear Lisa got accepted to that summer program at Yale? This pattern persisted throughout our lives. When I graduated college with honors, my mother remarked how lucky I was that my pretty face carried me through. When I landed my first professional job, my father insinuated my boss probably hired me for my looks. These cutting remarks became so routine that I learned to bury my achievements rather than share them with my family. Lisa wasn't blameless in this dynamic either. As kids, she'd throw tantrums if I got any attention. As teenagers, she once shredded my prom dress the night before the dance because she overheard someone say I might be voted prom queen. She apologized tearfully afterward, and I forgave her because that's what sisters do. But the pattern continued into adulthood. When I got promoted at work last year, Lisa didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. When I bought my first car, a modest used Toyota I'd saved for, she complained to our parents that I was flaunting my success. It was exhausting to dim my light just to keep the peace. Things escalated when Lisa met Ethan, her now husband. He came from wealth, worked at a prestigious law firm, and ticked every box my parents had for a perfect match. From the moment they started dating, Lisa became even more competitive with me. If I wore a nice dress to Sunday dinner, she'd remark that I was trying to steal the spotlight. If I mentioned a work achievement, she'd pivot the conversation to her and Ethan's plans. When they got engaged after just 6 months, my parents were overjoyed. Wedding planning became the center of our family's universe. Every conversation, every gathering, every holiday revolved around Lisa's wedding. I tried to be supportive, offering to help with invitations, joining her for cake tastings, and even using my design skills to create custom thank you cards. But nothing I did was enough. "You're just trying to outshine me," Lisa snapped when I showed her the cards I'd designed. "You know you're better at this artsy stuff than I am." Despite the tension, I genuinely wanted to mend our relationship. When Lisa asked me to be a bridesmaid, clearly under pressure from extended family who'd noticed my absence, I accepted, hoping it could be a turning point. "Just don't try to stand out," she warned. "This is my day." Little did I know how far my family would go to ensure I didn't steal Lisa's spotlight. The 6 months leading up to the wedding were a masterclass in family dysfunction. As a bridesmaid, I was expected to attend every pre-wedding event with enthusiasm while making myself invisible. The engagement party set the tone. I wore a simple black dress, minimal makeup, and pulled my hair into a plain bun. I stayed in the background, served drinks, and ensured Lisa had everything she needed. Yet I overheard my mother and Aunt Margaret in the kitchen. "Sarah's trying to behave, But you know how men always notice her, my mother sighed. Lisa deserves one day where she's the center of attention. Maybe suggest Sarah wear something less flattering for the wedding, Aunt Margaret replied. Or have her do a reading so she's facing away from everyone. I pretended not to hear, swallowing the pain as I arranged desserts. The bridal shower was worse. Lisa's future mother-in-law, Patricia, a kind woman who didn't engage in our family's drama, complimented my handmade decorations. "You have such a gift for beauty, Sarah," she said warmly. "These arrangements are stunning." Later, I found Lisa crying in the bathroom. "You just couldn't help yourself, could you?" she sobbed. "You had to make sure everyone noticed your touch on my shower." "Lisa, I was just trying to make your day special," I replied, exhausted by the endless eggshells. "Well, stop trying so hard. Everyone's talking about your decorations instead of my gifts." This pattern repeated at every event. At the bachelorette party, Lisa accused me of flirting with the bartender, who was just being friendly to everyone. At dress fittings, she insisted I pick a bridesmaid dress a size too large to look frumpy. I complied, prioritizing peace over pride. The rehearsal dinner was the breaking point. I wore a modest navy dress, flat shoes, and no makeup. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, speaking only when addressed. But Ethan's brother, Daniel, the best man seated beside me, kept engaging me in conversation. "You and Lisa look nothing alike," he observed. "You're both beautiful, but in totally different ways." "Thank you," I said softly. "Lisa's the real beauty in the family." "That's not what I see," he replied kindly. "You have this natural glow. And your hair, it's incredible. I've never seen that shade of blonde outside a magazine." I didn't realize my mother had overheard until I saw her whispering furiously to Lisa, both glaring at me. Lisa excused herself, and I found her having a meltdown in the restaurant bathroom.
"Jure ruining everything," she screamed, mascara streaking her face.
"Daniel hasn't stopped looking at you all night. Ethan's whole family is probably wondering why he didn't pick you." "Lisa, that's absurd," I tried to reason. "Daniel was just being polite. Everyone's here for you and Ethan." "Then why did his mom ask if we were both models?" "She said we have the same cheekbones," she sobbed. "You always steal my spotlight." I spent the next hour calming her down, reapplying her makeup, and assuring her she was the most beautiful bride-to-be. By the time we returned to the table, I was drained but hopeful we'd moved past the crisis. That night, back at my parents' house where I was staying for the wedding weekend, I made a special effort to connect with Lisa. I knocked on her childhood bedroom door with her favorite chamomile tea. "Can we talk?" I asked gently. To my surprise, she let me in. We sat on her bed like we did as teens, and for a moment, I saw vulnerability instead of jealousy. "I'm nervous about tomorrow," she admitted. "What if I'm not good enough for Ethan?" "Lisa, he adores you," I said sincerely. "You're going to be a beautiful bride and have an amazing life together." For a fleeting moment, we connected as sisters. She even hugged me before I left. "Thanks, Sarah.
I'm glad you will be here tomorrow."
I went to bed feeling hopeful that the wedding might mark a new chapter for us. Maybe once Lisa was married, her insecurities about me would fade. I fell asleep vowing to keep supporting her, to remain the bigger person, to never give up on our sisterhood. I had no idea that while I dreamed of reconciliation, my parents were plotting my humiliation. I woke to the sensation of something brushing my face. Half asleep, I reached up and felt something soft fall across my hand. Opening my eyes, I saw a long lock of my blonde hair on my pillow. Confused, I sat up, and more hair fell from my shoulders. Then I saw my mother at the foot of my bed, scissors in hand, a pile of my hair at her feet. My hands flew to my head, feeling uneven patches where my long hair had been hacked off, some areas cut so close I could feel scalp. "Mom," I whispered, my voice breaking. "What did you do?" "What needed to be done," she replied calmly, as if mutilating her daughter's hair was rational. "This is for Lisa. She deserves to shine tomorrow." I couldn't process it. I scrambled to the dresser mirror, and the reflection was unrecognizable. My hair, the long waves I'd nurtured since childhood, was destroyed. chopped into jagged patches, some areas nearly bald, others hanging in awkward clumps.
Why?
I gasped, tears streaming down my face.
Why would you do this?
My father appeared in the doorway, his eyes cold. Now maybe someone will pity you instead of envying you, he said. Lisa deserves to be the center of attention, not you. The betrayal was so profound I couldn't speak. These were my parents, the people meant to protect me, and they'd violated me in my sleep to appease Lisa's insecurities. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and slid to the floor, sobbing. In the harsh light, the damage looked worse. Visible scalp, nicks where the scissors had cut skin, one side drastically shorter than the other. It wasn't a bad haircut, it was deliberate mutilation. Shaking, I reached for my phone to call my friend Emily, only to find it missing. When I pounded on the door, demanding it, my mother calmly said they'd hidden it somewhere safe until after the wedding. "You're not calling anyone," she said. "You're not ruining this for Lisa with your drama."
Drama.
I screamed. "You cut off my hair while I was sleeping." "It'll grow back," she dismissed. "Stop being so vain." I stayed locked in the bathroom for hours, alternating between tears and numb shock. Around noon, Lisa knocked softly. "Sarah, can I come in?" Hoping she'd be horrified by our parents' actions, I unlocked the door. But after a brief gasp, her expression shifted to something like satisfaction. "Oh my God," she said, her hand covering her mouth unconvincingly. "What happened to your hair?" "Ask Mom," I said bitterly. "She did this while I was sleeping." Lisa's eyes darted away. "Well, that's extreme, but maybe it's for the best. You always get so much attention for your hair." In that moment, I knew she'd been complicit. Maybe not in the exact plan, but she'd known something would be done to ensure I didn't outshine her. "I'm not coming to your wedding," I said flatly. "Find another bridesmaid." Her fake sympathy vanished. "You absolutely are coming. If you don't, Mom and Dad will cut you off completely. No more help with your apartment, no family connections for your job, nothing.
You'll be on your own."
Though I was financially independent, my parents had co-signed my lease in the expensive city where I worked. They could make life difficult if they wanted. "You're my sister," I whispered. "How could you let them do this?" "It's just hair," she replied coldly. "Stop being dramatic. You'll be at the wedding, looking exactly how Mom planned." When she left, I frantically searched for ways to salvage my appearance. Maybe a hat or scarf. But when I emerged hours later, I found my mother had anticipated this. My suitcase was emptied, all scarves, hats, and hair accessories were gone. "We've scheduled an emergency appointment with the wedding hairstylist tomorrow," my mother announced over dinner, which I was forced to attend despite my red, swollen eyes. "She thinks she can even it out into a short pixie cut." My father didn't look at me. Lisa alternated between fake concern when relatives called and smug smiles when no one was watching. That night, locked in my childhood bedroom, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The shock had faded, replaced by a cold, clear anger I'd never felt before. For years, I'd made myself smaller to accommodate Lisa's insecurities, accepting my role as the family scapegoat, believing my patients would eventually earn their love. But this violation crossed a line that couldn't be undone.
Es I tuchet se jaget reminds of my hair, so meeting hardenet inside me.
The accommodating daughter died that night, replaced by someone who understood that some betrayals cannot, and should not, be forgiven. Morning came with a 6 a.m. pounding on my door. "Up and at 'em." My mother called cheerfully, as if nothing had happened. "We've got a bride to prepare." The hairstylist, Vanessa, arrived at 7 a.m. and gasped when she saw me. "What happened?" she asked, horrified. "Family haircut emergency," my mother said smoothly before I could speak. "Sarah had an accident with some gum and tried to cut it out herself. Teenage impulsiveness, you know. We need your magic." I sat silently as Vanessa worked, watching more hair fall as she tried to salvage the chaos. The result was an extremely short pixie cut that left my ears and neck exposed. I looked vulnerable, stripped bare in a way that felt like nakedness.
"I'm so sorry," Vanessa whispered when my motor stepped out.
"I did my best." "It's not your fault," I replied, meeting her eyes in the mirror. But could you do me a favor? If anyone asks, please tell them I didn't do this to myself. She nodded, silently acknowledging the wrongness she sensed but couldn't fully grasp. Getting into the bridesmaid dress was another humiliation. The oversized lavender gown hung off my frame, making me look even more diminished with my new haircut. When the makeup artist tried a glamorous look to compensate, my mother intervened. No, much more natural for Sarah, she insisted. Just light powder and a touch of lip balm. We don't want to overdo it. By the time we reached the church, I looked like a pale, shorn version of myself, drowning in fabric. The other bridesmaids gasped, their shock unmistakable. What happened to your hair? Lisa's college friend, Chloe, exclaimed. Before I could answer, Lisa swooped in, radiant in her designer gown. Poor Sarah had a meltdown last night, she stage whispered. She cut it herself. We think she's been under stress. Please don't mention it, we're being supportive. Her look dared me to contradict her. With my parents hovering, I stayed silent, the humiliation burning like acid. The ceremony was a blur. I followed instructions mechanically, walked down the aisle, stood with the bridesmaids, and played my role. I felt the stares and whispers from the church filled with people who'd known me my whole life, all shocked by my transformation. During the photo session, I hit rock bottom. The photographer, a friend of Ethan's family, kept positioning me in the back or behind others. Maybe Sarah could sit for this one, he suggested diplomatically. Actually, my mother interjected, why don't we do a few without Sarah, just to have options? I stood aside, watching them take photo after photo without me, only including me where I was least visible. Lisa glowed, more confident with each shot where she didn't stand next to her pretty sister.
At the reception, I overheard my family spreading Lise.
Yes, poor thing had some kind of episode, my mother told my great-aunt. We're concerned about her stability. Always been the attention seeker, my father confided to his colleague. Couldn't stand it wasn't about her. Even Lisa, while accepting congratulations, worked it in. It's been a tough week with family drama. My sister's having issues, but we're supporting her. The only kindness came from Daniel, Ethan's brother. He sat beside me at the empty table where I'd been placed, far from the wedding party. You didn't do this to yourself, did you? He asked quietly. The simple acknowledgement nearly broke me.
I shook my head, unable to speak.
I thought not, he said.
For what it's worth, you still look beautiful.
Different, but beautiful. His kindness was almost harder to bear than the cruelty. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at my reflection. The vulnerable stranger faded, replaced by something harder, unbreakable. I returned just as my father gave his toast, praising Lisa effusively. Lisa has always been our shining star, he said. The daughter who made us proud with her intelligence and judgment. Then, glancing at me, he added, some children seek attention through looks or drama, but Lisa has substance, real value. Ethan, you've chosen quality, not beauty that fades or can be cut away. The veiled jab drew uneasy laughter from guests who sensed the cruelty but didn't understand it. In that moment, watching my father celebrate Lisa while mocking me after what they'd done, something crystallized. This family would never change. I'd always be the scapegoat, diminished so Lisa could feel superior. No amount of forgiveness would alter that truth. A strange calm replaced the hurt. I owed these people nothing. Not my presence, not my forgiveness, not my submission. They deserved consequences, lasting ones they couldn't smooth over with lies. As I watched Lisa and Ethan cut their cake, a plan formed. They thought cutting my hair had neutralized me. They had no idea they'd created someone with nothing to lose. The realization that I no longer cared about preserving my family ties was liberating. I'd spent years walking on eggshells, hoping my love and patience would be reciprocated. That delusion was gone, cut away with my hair. I watched the reception with new eyes, cataloging opportunities. Lisa and Ethan were spending their wedding night in the bridal suite at the Grand Palmer Hotel before flying to Bali for their honeymoon. Their gifts and luggage were managed by the wedding coordinator, Rachel, who had a master key to all wedding-related rooms. Daniel found me during the dancing. How are you holding up? He asked, concerned. Actually, I need help, I said, deciding to trust him. I need to run an errand, but my parents took my phone and car keys. His eyebrows shot up. They took your phone?
Tats controlling.
You have no idea, I replied. Can you help? I just need to pick up a few things. To my relief, he agreed without prying. During the father-daughter dance, we slipped out to his car. He drove me to a 24-hour pharmacy, where I bought clear itching powder solution, a sewing kit, and other supplies. Are you going to tell me what this is for? He asked on the drive back. Better if I don't, I said honestly. But no one will be physically harmed. He nodded. Whatever happened with your hair, it wasn't an accident, was it? No, I said. My mother cut it while I slept to ensure I wouldn't look prettier than Lisa. His hands tightened on the wheel. That's messed up.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. It opened my eyes to truths I've avoided. Back at the reception, Daniel helped me slip in unnoticed. As we parted, he gave me his business card with his personal number. If you need anything, a friend, a listener, call me, he said. And Sarah, whatever you're planning, make it count. His support boosted my confidence. First, I needed access to the bridal suite. During the bouquet toss, which Lisa ensured I was excluded from, I approached Rachel. Lisa asked me to add some special touches to the bridal suite, I lied.
A surprise for Ethan. That's so sweet.
Rachel gushed. I can let you in for a few minutes. Actually, Lisa wants it to be a surprise for everyone, I continued. You know how she loves taking credit for thoughtful gestures. I gave a knowing look. Rachel nodded. Here's my master key. Return it in 20 minutes, and I'll pretend I didn't see you. In the bridal suite, I worked quickly. I treated Lisa's wedding night lingerie with itching powder, focusing on sensitive areas. The solution dried clear, odorless, but would activate with body heat. I treated select items in their honeymoon luggage, swimsuits, underwear, shirts, with the same solution. I photographed their first-class Bali tickets, then replaced them with counterfeits I'd create later, changing the flight time to 13 hours later. In Lisa's toiletry bag, I swapped her waterproof mascara for a non-waterproof version. Bali's humidity would ensure smudged eyes in photos. I placed a tiny wireless camera in the room's corner, angled to capture the bed area without being invasive. I didn't want to violate their privacy completely, just document the chaos when the itching powder kicked in. I returned the key to Rachel in 19 minutes, thanking her for helping with Lisa's surprise. Next, I needed digital access. Lisa was careless with passwords, often using her birthday or our childhood pet's name. During a bathroom break, I borrowed a bridesmaid's phone to check the time, and accessed Lisa's cloud storage with her predictable password. I downloaded key wedding photos, especially those of Lisa looking radiant. I noted her social media and email logins for later. By the reception's end, my preparations were complete. I'd laid the groundwork for a revenge that would unfold gradually, untraceable to me. As Lisa and Ethan left, showered with rose petals, I stood back, smiling calmly. My mother caught my eye, suspicious of my mood. I hope you're not planning a scene, she hissed. Wouldn't dream of it, I replied. I've accepted things as they are. She seemed unnerved but was distracted by the departure. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. Lisa, my parents, or the relatives who'd witnessed my humiliation without intervening. They didn't deserve it. Instead, I took a taxi to a hotel I'd booked using the bridesmaid's phone. There, I completed the digital phase of my plan. I created counterfeit plane tickets with the later departure time and emailed them to the hotel's business center for delivery to the bridal suite with a congratulatory note. I accessed Lisa's social media and scheduled posts for their honeymoon, unflattering photos with awkward captions to make her look slightly ridiculous. I sent an anonymous email to Lisa's workplace, raising concerns about resume discrepancies, attaching proof her graduation date and GPA differed from her claims. It was subtle enough to spark an investigation without costing her job. Finally, I edited a video compilation of audio from the bridesmaid's phone, snippets of my parents and Lisa admitting the haircutting was deliberate and laughing about my humiliation. I saved it for potential future use. As I worked, I felt empowered. For the first time, I wasn't absorbing my family's abuse. I was taking control. The thought of Lisa and Ethan's honeymoon derailed by itching, missed flights, social media embarrassment, and professional scrutiny felt like justice. They'd violated me, thinking I'd stay silent. They didn't know they'd cut away my loyalty along with my hair. My revenge was untraceable, a series of unfortunate coincidences to shadow Lisa's perfect wedding. I fell asleep in my hotel room feeling lighter than I had in years. The first sign my plan worked came at 2:37 a.m. via an alert from the bridal suite camera. I watched with satisfaction as Lisa scratched frantically, her romantic night turning into an itchy nightmare. Ethan soon followed, both examining the lingerie and sheets in confusion. "It burns," Lisa wailed, her makeup streaked with tears. They called hotel management, demanding new bedding and a room change. I imagined the chaos, the entitled bride, confused groom, and bewildered manager. Their wedding night was ruined. I slept soundly. The next morning, Lisa's panicked messages flooded the bridesmaid group chat, which I monitored via the borrowed phone. Their Bali flight was at 10 a.m., but my counterfeit tickets caused chaos at check-in. "Emergency." Lisa texted at 8:43 a.m., "Our tickets are wrong. Airport says 1 p.m., but the email says 10 a.m. I'm freaking out." Problems cascaded. Their luggage went on the original flight, sitting unattended in Bali. Lisa's social media posted my scheduled unflattering photos, double chins, odd expressions, with captions like, "Feeling like the most beautiful bride in history. Sorry to all other brides who could never." Friends commented in confusion, some messaging her about a possible hack. By the time she noticed, the posts had been live for hours. Back home, the wedding fallout spread. Vanessa, the hairstylist, told others the truth about my hair, sparking whispers in our social circle. Relatives and friends texted me after I reactivated my phone. "Is it true what they did?" my cousin Hannah asked. "That's messed up." Even my mother's friend Susan wrote, "I'm shocked.
Are you okay?
I responded selectively, neither confirming nor denying, fueling speculation. The video compilation remained my ace in the hole. 3 days into the honeymoon, the itching powder in their clothes caused rashes, pharmacy runs, and ruined outings. Lisa's Instagram photos showed strained smiles and red skin despite filters. A week in, Daniel called. "I don't know what you did," he said, but Ethan called his parents, freaking out. Lisa's melting down because her work's investigating her employment history. I smiled. My anonymous tip had hit its mark. "That sounds stressful," I said neutrally. "Honeymoons can be unpredictable." "You're something else, Sarah," he said admiringly. "I'm back in the city next week. Want to grab coffee? No wedding talk." I agreed, surprised but pleased. My parents called incessantly around day 10, leaving desperate voicemails. "These rumors about your hair are damaging our reputation," my father demanded. "We need to present a united front," my mother pleaded. I ignored them, focusing on my new life. I'd moved to a new apartment with savings I'd quietly amassed and was considering a job offer in another city. When Lisa and Ethan returned, they were exhausted, irritated, and rash-covered. Lisa's social media image was tarnished, and her workplace investigation continued. "This was supposed to be the happiest time of my life," she sobbed to our cousin Megan. "Everything went wrong: rashes, missed flights, stolen shoes, hacked Instagram, my boss questioning my credentials." "That's a lot of bad luck," Megan replied. "It's not luck," Lisa snapped. "Someone sabotaged us." But she had no proof. I'd ensured every element looked like a mundane mishap. A month later, I met my parents at a busy cafe. They looked haggard, worn by the social fallout. "We need to clear the air," my father began. "These rumors about your hair are hurting us." "What rumors?" I asked innocently. "That you cut my hair while I slept to ensure I didn't outshine Lisa." "That's not a rumor, Dad. That's what happened." "It wasn't like that," my mother insisted, avoiding my gaze. "We were helping you. You've always hidden behind your looks."
Save it, ikut in.
"I'm moving to Seattle for a new job." I won't be available for family gatherings. You can't cut us off, my father blustered.
Vire your parents.
Watch me, I said, standing. I have recordings of you admitting what you did and laughing about it. If you contact me or spread lies, those will go to everyone we know. Their faces paled. It was a calculated risk. The audio wasn't as damning as I implied, but it worked. You wouldn't, my mother whispered. Try me. You created this version of me. Live with it. I left feeling free. The family that diminished me had no power anymore. My revenge had severed those toxic bonds. Lisa texted once, I know it was you. I can't prove it, but I know. I didn't respond. She didn't deserve it. I focused on my new life, where I was valued for my whole self. Surprisingly, that life included Daniel. His coffee invitation became dinner, then regular dating. I knew you were special when I saw how you handled that wedding, he said months later. Anyone who could endure that and emerge stronger has rare resilience. It was strange to be appreciated for qualities my family tried to break. 6 months after what I call the wedding incident, my life had transformed. My hair grew into a chic bob that suited me better than my long waves. What began as a violation led to a physical transformation reflecting the new me, stronger, confident, unwilling to dim my light. I'd moved to Seattle, taken the job, and thrived in a workplace that valued me. My Puget Sound apartment was my sanctuary, where I sipped coffee on the balcony, marveling at life without family drama. My relationship with Daniel blossomed. Unlike my family, he celebrated my successes without competition. When I got a promotion 4 months into my job, he brought champagne, genuinely proud. You turned something that would have broken most people into a catalyst for a better life, he said. His perspective helped me heal. The true victory wasn't the chaos I caused Lisa or the consequences my parents faced. It was reclaiming my power and refusing to stay in toxic relationships. I kept limited contact with extended family who showed genuine concern. My cousin Hannah visited Seattle, and we discussed the family dynamics we'd both ignored. Your parents were so hard on you, she admitted. I never said anything because they're the adults, right? That's how abuse perpetuates, I replied, using therapy-learned language. Everyone watches, but no one intervenes. My parents and Lisa made sporadic contact attempts, never with real accountability. My mother sent a Christmas card with a hair salon gift certificate, a clueless apology. My father left voicemails about family obligations, without acknowledging their actions. Lisa's texts swung between accusing me of ruining her honeymoon and falsely offering sisterhood. I ignored them. The silence wasn't punishment, it was a boundary for my healing. Therapy helped unpack the wedding incident and years of diminishment. I learned my self-worth had been tied to external validation, especially my appearance, which my family prized and punished. They weaponized your beauty, my therapist said. They taught you it was your greatest asset and your biggest flaw. This insight helped me see my looks as just one part of me, not my defining feature. I enjoyed dressing well and styling my hair, but no longer feared outshining others. Sharing my story in an online forum for toxic family dynamics connected me with others who'd faced similar betrayals. Inspired, I started a Seattle support group for survivors. Our monthly meetings became sacred spaces to honor healing without judgment. You turned pain into purpose, Daniel said after a powerful session. That's the difference between revenge and justice. While my revenge was satisfying, the real transformation was building something constructive from the rubble. As the wedding's 1-year anniversary neared, my mother sent a lengthy email with something resembling accountability. I've been seeing a church counselor, she wrote. I see now how twisted it was to think cutting your hair balanced some cosmic scale for Lisa. I don't expect forgiveness, but I recognize the harm. I read it multiple times, searching for manipulation. Finding none, I felt vindication, anger, hope, and sadness for the mother-daughter bond we might have had. I replied, "Thank you for acknowledging the harm. It's a first step." I didn't offer forgiveness or reconciliation, but left the door slightly ajar for genuine change. My father never reached such awareness. Lisa remained convinced she was my victim. Some relationships can't be saved, and that no longer devastated me. I focused on my chosen family, friends who celebrated me, a partner who loved all of me, and a community of survivors. Daniel proposed 18 months after we met, with his grandmother's ring. "You taught me what courage looks like," he said. "I want to spend my life with someone who loves fiercely and lives authentically." I said yes, marveling at how my worst day led to my best. Our wedding plans excluded my biological family, not as punishment, but to protect our joy. "Family is who treats you like family," I told Daniel. I learned that the hard way. The night before our intimate ceremony, I looked in the mirror, running my fingers through my shoulder-length hair. I barely recognized the woman who'd once dimmed herself. In her place was someone who knew her worth didn't depend on others' validation. My family's betrayal had set me free.